All right, what is good, ladies and gentlemen? It is the Master Reviewer back again with another review, and today we are doing John Wick Chapter 2. Yes, this is the second John Wick movie, and my background with it is that I watched it when I watched all the John Wick movies, whenever that was. I don't really have any background for this. Like in the last movie, this is one of my favorite franchises, and this is another great John Wick movie, so let's just start off with the characters. The characters in this, obviously you have John Wick played by Keanu Reeves. Great actor, great moments with John Wick once again. Pretty much everything in the first movie, but you have it here again. You have, in this movie, you have John Wick where he, this time he is not really in this for revenge. He is in this because he doesn't have a choice. Other than John Wick, you have the villain, Santino D'Antonio, who I personally liked more than Vigo, because Vigo, he was in the position he was in it because he had no choice to be in either. He was forced to be in the position that he was in because of the stupid decisions of his son. In this one, Santino, he is here because he is pushing John past the point of no return. He knows that what he's doing is probably, like, he's aware of, like, what he's doing. He has the right to do what he's doing because he does have the marker. However, because, like, he even says to John, like, if you stayed in retirement, I would have respected it, but then he forces him to do what he ends up doing. And even after all that, he says, like, this is, okay, one thing I do have to say about him, he does say, like, you should have walked away, but he says that, like, right after he basically puts a $7 million bounty on John Wick's head. So, yeah. Other than that, who else you have? You have Gianna D'Antonio, who is, she's briefly in the movie, she is Santino's sister, and she is basically the target that Santino puts on. She's the target that Santino gives John Wick, and she was going to get the high C table. She doesn't end up getting the high C table because John Wick kills her. And, you know, she's in it briefly. She kind of screws over a businessman, I think, and then she commits suicide right before John Wick shoots her. So, who else you got? You have Winston and Sharon. They're back in this. They are great. Love them. They're always great to see Winston. He's always got his lines. He's always got his moments where he's like, he's very wise and stuff. He's like very knowledgeable about the world and stuff. He has a ton of great lines. Who else you got? You have Eris and Cassian, who are the bodyguards for Cassian is the bodyguard for Gianna, and Eris is the bodyguard of Santino. They are good. Cassian, he has a pretty good, not really rivalry, but he does have good, not chemistry, I would say, but like his scenes with John Wick are good. Like the bar scene that they're in together, it is nice when they talk to each other. Eris, she's a deaf assassin, I'm pretty sure, so she speaks in sign language, and she is also good. The scenes with her, all of it good. Pretty much all the characters. Once again, just like in the last movie, no one really bad per se. Bowery King, played by Lawrence Fishburne. This is just like The Matrix. You have Keanu Reeves and Lawrence Fishburne together, and they do great together. Just like in this movie. You have Abram Tarasov, who is Vigo's brother, who was in the very start of the movie, briefly, so you do see him. He doesn't really play a large role, however, he does end up, you know, he John Wick makes peace with him at the beginning. He was there, like, he didn't really serve too much of a purpose, but, you know, he was good. Aurelio, he's barely in this, he's briefly in this, but the moments he's in are good. Yeah, pretty much everyone in this movie is good. I would give all the characters, I would say a 7 out of 10. I would say they're all pretty good. I don't know if they're necessarily better than the last movie. I'll say Santino is probably a better villain than Vigo. However, certain characters like Gianna, she's not in this too. All the characters here, they feel like they leave less of an impact, I would say. Like Issoff from the last movie, he felt more impactful compared to, like, I don't know, Eris, Cassian. Santino's only the only, like, real new one that really feels like he leaves an impact on the franchise. So, yeah, moving on to the plot, I will say, I think the plot in the last movie was slightly better. I think it was kind of sharper. It was more concise with, like, the whole John Wick just out for revenge because his dog was killed and his car was stolen. And in this movie, it feels like less intriguing. He's just kind of doing what he's doing because he's forced to, which is fine. The marker does make it better. He has a marker, so he does become put in a position where he has no choice but to do it. At the start of the movie, he does reject the marker and he pays the price for it. His house gets blown up, and so he has to comply, otherwise he will face more repercussions. The plot, I'll give a 6.5. I will say it is good. It is not as good as the last movie. I think I said in the last movie that that the first movie was the worst in the franchise. After watching this, I'm not sure if that's true. Once again, I don't think any of the movies are bad. I will say though, this movie maybe felt slightly worse than the first movie. I think I may have given. I think the second one, it has. Here's what I think. I think probably the first one is like consistently great all the way, but then the second one has like highs that are higher than the first one, and then lows that are lower than the first one. So in terms of like the settings, I think that there are much more interesting settings in this one. You have like the glass, the reflection room, that was cool. You have, but then you also have places like the catacombs, which I didn't really like the catacombs that much. Like it felt too not boring, but like all the guards, all the like enemies, they look the same for John Wick, so it just kind of felt a bit repetitive, and it was like very dark and stuff. You had what else? You had the art gallery, that was good. I like that a lot. There was the train station. I love the train station. That was one of the best settings in the movie, if not the best setting. Just really nice. Basically, when the contract goes up for John Wick, that's when like the movie really starts kicking into high gear. The fight with Cassian, that was also a nice setting area that it was like right outside the Continental. You see Italy in this movie. You see the Italian Continental. That stuff is always cool. In terms of settings, I will give so basically the settings are I would say very good. However, there are just a few places, like specifically the catacombs. I just didn't really like the catacombs that much, and so that kind of brings it down. In terms of the action, once again, the action is great. I'm gonna give it. It is just wonderful. All the gunfights and stuff, very cool to see. This movie specifically, it has like it has like weapons that I remember. I'm pretty sure they added these weapons into Fortnite. My back is really killing me. I don't know why. Yeah, so they added like I'm pretty sure like the tactical AR from Fortnite and the combat shotgun from Fortnite that was from this movie. In this movie, it's the Benelli M4. Very cool weapons to watch being used. You specifically have in this movie, the John Wick is only given 7 bullets, 7 rounds because of the $7 million contract. That kind of stuff is cool. He has to like go get guns off of the enemies that he kills. So that stuff is very fun to watch. What was I saying about Fortnite earlier? Yeah, so the weapons in this movie, I think, inspired some of the weapons that got added into Fortnite. And it's weird because I'm pretty sure they got added, but I'm pretty sure that the whole Fortnite event with it only came out when the third movie came out. So I don't really know what was up with that, but for some reason that just came to my mind. Anyway, so yeah, the action, 8 out of 10, great. I loved it a lot. The suspense in this movie was, I would say like, I'll give it a 6 out of 10. This is a rewatch for me once again, so I didn't know where everything was going, and at no point was I really worried because like it's John Wick, so there was no point. Maybe if it was a first time watch for me, I would have felt more suspense. However, this movie just didn't. It was above average. I would say like there is still suspenseful moments like where you think like, okay, how is he gonna get out of this alive? But most of the time you're thinking like, okay, he'll get out of this alive because it's John Wick, obviously. I know there are scenes where it's like John enters the Continental and then he confronts Santino. There are stuff like that where it's like you feel the suspense in the air. Yeah. Anyway, the worst thing about this movie, I will say, there's 2 things that I particularly did not really like. Number 1, the beginning scene, it was good. It just felt a bit too long. It also felt like, okay, the last movie kind of wrapped up really well. And when you start this movie out with like a plot point that I felt like should have been finished in the last movie, it did feel a bit like not as strong of a start as the first movie. The first movie had a great strong start with like John Wick in grief, and then this one, it just feels a bit like it doesn't compare to the start of the first movie. And the catacomb scene, I felt like the catacomb scene is just the action was cool. It's just that there was just too much like stormtrooper. This movie in general, like there's a lot of moments where it's like John Wick could be standing still in a scene and someone could like start shooting at him while he's standing still and just miss the shots completely. There's a lot of moments where it's like, okay, you could definitely get a shot off here that could kill him. Like I remember in the catacombs scene specifically, John was running and then there were some guards that were maybe like less than 3 meters behind him, and then they couldn't like just like at that point just like spray a line and then one of the bullets will hit him and then he'll get like, yeah, I get that his suit was bulletproof, but I felt like just spray and pray at that point because like, come on, he's that close to you. You could absolutely get some shots off of him, but yeah, they didn't. And so the worst thing is probably just the fact that like there's a lot of moments where it felt like I don't know, I guess maybe John Wick has some plot armor, and yeah, specifically just the catacomb in the opening. So I'll say the worst part out of all of those, the worst thing was probably just the catacombs. It just felt a bit too repetitive for me, so I will give that. But even that was still, I would say, it was still above average. I'd say. Would I say above average? I would say it's still, yeah, I'd say it's above average. Still, it's still really good action. So I'm just gonna give it a 6 out of 10. In terms of the best thing, I will say the best thing, honestly, probably the suit up scene. Just that was my favorite part of the movie. I love that scene. It is one of my favorite scenes in the entire franchise. When John he gets to Italy, he goes from person to person. He goes to the suit up area. He gets like his new weaponry, his new tactical gear and stuff. The maps and stuff. The keys to the coronation area that he's going to. That entire scene is just my favorite in the movie. I liked it a lot. It was amazing, I would say. I would give it an 8.5 out of 10. And yeah, it was just really good. I have a lot of extra notes that I wrote down. I did like how Santino is like at the start of the movie, he's basically telling John to like, you need to come fulfill your marker. It's like you have to walk back into this life. And then his last thing to John was basically telling him walk away. It was a nice parallel, I guess, where it's like he starts out when he meets John, he's like saying, you need to walk into this, and then right before his death, he's like, okay, walk away from this. So yeah, the poster for this, hopefully I put it up now. I think you can see it right here. All the guns surrounding his head. It looks great. One of the most iconic movie posters of all time, in my opinion. At the start of the movie, he does take out a gold card from a guy that was riding a motorcycle, and I didn't really think anything of it at the beginning of when I first saw the movie, but then after watching the fourth movie with the gold cards, I did realize that they are connected. So it is nice that they ended up reusing that in the fourth movie. Jimmy, I didn't mention him in the first movie. He's like the cop guy. I like his moments with John. Those are good. Yeah, so the prep scene. Gina's death, I thought it was good. I liked how John like clearly didn't want to be doing it, but then he had to, and then she ends up like slitting her wrist. And I remember I saw like a CinemaSins video a few years ago when I think I watched the movie, and they said like apparently in Roman culture, like suicide is like damnable, I guess. So him like shooting her in the head, not only was it like to ensure that his marker was complete, but it was also like to like so that she wouldn't end up like going to hell or something like that. So I think that was nice. There's a lot of just rave shootouts in this movie that like there's a lot of moments where it's like clearly, okay, for one, no police ever shows up at any point in the movie. Like there's never a police that shows up, and there's just constant like shootings in public and stuff. There's moments like John, he shoots two people right outside of a subway where like 1 foot next to them, there's just a person entering the subway, and they don't notice the guy getting shot right next to them. So just, and I get like at the end of the movie, it is established like, yes, there is a lot of assassins in the city. So I get that there's a lot of people that like can understand what's going on. However, I do not believe that like everyone in the New York subway is aware that like there's two assassins fighting on the street. So yeah, it does feel like not a lot of people react to this stuff. They use silencers in public, like Cassian and John, they're shooting at each other with silencers in public, and then no one cares. And that is, I think it's been said before by many people, but that is not how silencers work in real life. It would be way louder than that. So yeah, there's rave shootings, people don't really react. So there's moments like that. I thought like, okay, once you get to the fourth movie, really start showing, but honestly, it starts showing in this movie kind of. Anything else? The train knife fight, yeah, that another one where it's like they're just fighting in the middle of the train, just people are just watching. And I do see, after when the train opens, like they do run out of the train, but like during it, I feel like more people would react. But who knows? Maybe New Yorkers are just used to watching knife fights in trains or something. I don't know. I like the 7 million thing. The 7 million where it's like King ends up. His name is King, right? Bowery King. Yeah, Bowery King. He ends up giving John like 7 bullets. I like that a lot. I thought that was a cool little plot point there. Yeah, that is all the notes that I wrote. So I'm going to now do the calculations. So King Crimson. All right, so it ends up coming out to a 7 out of 10. However, that would be pretty good. I would probably definitely still give it more than that. I would probably give it probably a 7.5 out of 10. I think it was very good. I'm a bit disappointed with this rewatch because from what I remember, it was slightly better. I think on rewatch, I did notice just some more flaws than I was expecting. So I would give it a 7.5. I think maybe if I'm being generous, I would give it like between a 7.5 to an 8 out of 10. However, just after rewatching the first movie yesterday, I did just see there was the first movie just had a lot more stuff that I enjoyed. I will still say this movie has stuff like the settings. I think they have more interesting settings. The villain in this one I think I liked more. However, the first one did still have stuff like more concise plot, I would say, and yeah. So you know, there's good stuff in this one. There's good stuff in the last one. Ultimately, they're both very good movies. So yeah, I will give this one probably a 7.5. I would say, very good movie. So yeah, with that said, that is pretty much all there is to it. If you have any recommendations, any movies, anime, shows, video game stories, anything you want to recommend in the comments, you can do so, and I will possibly check it out. But with that said, that is pretty much all there is to it, so let's leave it at that.